Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a redo of the last video I did. I'm going to go over all the characters as fast as I can and as concise as possible, but also to bring along the point so you get an understanding of every character that's been revoiced and not revoiced in this game. Okay, so let's start by location. So Alexander's been revoiced, Samuel Kerr, Captain Parker, Frank Weathers, Keith, Captain Gillis, and Oscar Velasco. We revoiced Oscar Velasco in particular because the acting was horrid on that, as well as Frank Weathers. In Black Mountain, so in this location, we only revoiced Ike, and you'll notice that we left the rest alone. In Camp Forlorn Hope, you'll notice that quite a few were revoiced, and it's because we're trying to remove a lot of the cloning here. So the issue is that Dr. Alex Richards is voiced also by Joseph, has the same voice actor as Joseph Pilotley, right? So this is bad because there's a quest where both of them are going back and forth. Here, Sexton, Stone, and Cooper are done by Liam O'Brien, so we're removing a Liam O'Brien clone. Okay, here in Camp Golf, same issue. O'Hanrahan and Raz are both voiced by Jesse Birch. These are now revoiced by one actor each, and we also revoiced Mags. Although we felt April Stewart was a great actress, and Mags was actually one of the last characters we revoiced, we felt that April Stewart tends to have a very samey sort of tone with a lot of her characters. In other words, there really isn't much of a difference between, let's say, Captain Gillis, between Gillis and Mari Pappas and Raquel, and they're very samey in the sense of Haggerty. They're all pretty much the same, so we want to cut that down so that she doesn't feel as samey in the world. In Camp McCarran, you'll notice a lot of these have been wiped out, but they were done for very, very good reasons. Ten of Spades was bad acting. Ronald Curtis was, people in the Legion complained about him, so we revoiced him. Sterling, we got an older African-American actor to do the lines for that. Hornsby was a Jesse Birch clone. We removed that. Crenshaw was a Liam O'Brien clone. We removed that. Dr. Kemp, Gorbets, all of these were revoiced for very good reasons. And you'll notice that the ones we didn't revoice were not revoiced for very good reasons as well. In Camp Searchlight, we revoiced Astor and Logan. In the Cottonwood Cove, a lot has been revoiced here, and it's because we felt that a lot of the Legion weren't voiced correctly. So Aurelius by Yuri Lowenthal was just really poorly done. Canyon Runner, the lines, he sped right through them. Lucullus, Ari Rubin is just not really much of a Legion sort of presence, so we removed him entirely. Kenny Weathers, we felt didn't really show kind of how someone would sound if they were kidnapped and they were in a cage for the very first day. And with Sammy Weathers, it was an older actress trying to act like a teenager, and that just was really, really bad acting, so we changed that all around. And we got a new actor for Anders. Although Liam O'Brien did a great job with his acting for Anders, overall, we're trying to remove a lot of the Liam O'Brien clones out of here. Okay? In the Crimson Caravan, we revoiced Blake, Dawn Hostetler, and Janet. For Janet, we got a teenage actress to do the role rather than having... because we just felt that Janet should be a much, much younger actor for the role. And then for the Fort, the problem with the Fort is that a lot of the characters are voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. So in the original game, Anthony and Lucius and I believe Otho are all done by Yuri Lowenthal, and they're in the same room pretty much. So now each of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, are now voiced by 8 new actors. Okay? In Freeside, we're working on Dixon right now. Incidentally, I did have a great actor who worked on this before with me, but the problem is that I also have him as Raz, right? So what I want to do is to ideally have one actor per character, ideally. But yeah, this is currently in the works at the moment. John Baptiste is done, Kieran is done, Soren is done, and Oris is done. Santiago is currently actually on a casting call at the moment, and then Tapper and Wayne are done. You'll notice that a lot of these that have not been revoiced are not revoiced for a few reasons, and I'll break it down for you. Number one, it's either they're iconic, or the acting was great, or they are insignificant. In other words, they're not really much of, like they come in for a second and they leave, or it's just a situation where they just had way too many lines. So if it was a situation where it was past 50 lines, we just skipped it. So like an example, let me go over some examples. So for example, the King is iconic. We would never want to change him, right? Little Beard, who cares? He only pops up for like a second. And then Gennaro, he's insignificant, right? And so that's kind of our take on that. Okay, Gibson, Scrapyard, and Good Springs, no changes were made. In here, Fitz and Isaac and Haggerty were revoiced. You'll notice that in Hidden Valley, all of them were revoiced, and we'll go over why. So at Watkins, we really felt that Cindy Robinson didn't work for the voice. She's an older actress trying to act like a teenager. I think it's just better just to go for the teenager instead. So we got a teenage actress for that. The issue here is that the elder, Nolan, as well as Taggart, as well as, I would say, Ibsen and Lorenzo, were all done by Yuri Lowenthal. And it's just really bad when you go into a room and everyone's voiced by the same voice actor. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all are going to be voiced by 8 new actors. Okay? General Oliver Lee and Cato Hostilius are done here. I didn't really focus much on Hoover Dam because, in general, I don't like focusing in areas that people aren't going to really be in. I want to focus on the areas that people are, where there's a lot of eye traffic. And Hoover Dam, people tend to skip right through it and kill their way through, so I don't want to really waste my time in that area. Jacobstown, everything was okay. In the Mojave Outpost, we revoiced Knight and Ranger Jackson. The reason these two were revoiced is because it's Liam O'Brien in the same area, right? 2 voice actors. So now these are done by 1 new actor each. In the NCR Correctional Facility, all of everyone in the NCR Correctional Facility has been revoiced. So the question remains why. So the problem is that Carter, as well as Dawes, as well as Myers, are voiced by Ari Rubin. And then here, Chavez and I believe Scrambler are done by Alex Mendoza, right? So that's really, really bad for immersion. The problem also is that Hannigan, who also is in the NCRCF, is voiced by Avery Kidd Waddell, but not too far from the NCRCF facility, which is where Nipton is, you'll also come across Boxcars, and they both are the same actor, and that just is really bad for immersion. So we had another actor for that. Also, many complaints were said about Eddie, saying that his acting was horrendous, so we got a new voice actor to go ahead and fix those lines as well. In the NCR Sharecropper Farms, Romanowski, Blake, Ortega, and Bascom are revoiced. In the Nellis Air Force Base, the Boomer Munitions manager, the issue is that in the original game... Okay, so I do want to mention a few things. You'll notice, and I mentioned this throughout, but a lot of the voice actors will now match the original designs. So if you don't actually like to install face mods, you're going to love this mod because basically these voice actors will match your original designs. So in this case, Lieutenant Romanowski, the new voice actor matches his original face. Trent Bascom, the new voice actor is going to match his original face, right? So this is kind of what's going on with that. For Jack, we chose someone a little bit younger. So in this case, Jack is not going to exactly look like the original design. He's going to look a little bit younger, but it's because I felt that Jack and Janet should be younger in the game. Okay, that's done. Oh, that's the other thing. The Boomer Munitions manager initially was voiced by Gregory Allen Williams, and so what we did was we actually chose an actor that was much younger, and a little bit younger, kind of to match his the appearance, and to go from there. All right, so next is is Nelson and the New Vegas Strip. So Dead Sea has been revoiced. Caleb, Irwin, Lisa, Martina Grosbeck, these all have been revoiced here, and you'll take a look here. And you'll notice that the ones we didn't revoice, as I said, they fit in one of 5 categories. Number 1, it's either they did a great job acting. Number 2, they were iconic. Number 3, they had a shit ton of lines and we don't have the time for it. Or number 4, they were insignificant. So, as I said, like Billy Knight, it's sort of like, he was okay. Ambassador Crocker, he has too many lines. He has to be revoiced, and we will revoice him, but he has too many lines. We'll do him post-release. Carlitos Wayne by Liam O'Brien was actually well acted, so we left that alone. Ethel Phoebus, insignificance. Kate, insignificance. Mari Pappas was okay. Vulpes and Culta is iconic. Mr. New Vegas was iconic. So you'll begin to realize that there actually is a rhyme and reason to which characters have been revoiced and which haven't, and why we did it that way. Okay? In Nipton, only Jacqueline was revoiced. In North Vegas Square, Andy Scab and Jules. I revoiced Andy Scab because I actually felt, and I was a bit disappointed when I first played the game, because I always felt Andy Scab shouldn't be like any typical ghoul. I really feel like he should have been much more menacing, someone much more dangerous, he's a gang leader, right? And he managed to move his way up the ranks. Sort of like, if you've ever played Fallout 1, there's a leader there. He's one of the ghouls. He's very, very menacing. And I always felt that Andy Scab should have been very much in that sort of vein. But anyway, let's keep on going. In Novak, we revoiced Bruce Isaac and Ranger Andy. So Bruce Isaac was revoiced because he's right next to Cliff Briscoe, who also did the voice for, which was voiced by Gregory Allen Williams. So now you're not going to get samey voices anymore. Ranger Andy was poorly acted by Emerson, so we got a new actor for that. Sergeant McKee was revoiced. Here in the Ranger stations, all of these were voiced by one new actor each. The problem is that in here, these were all voiced by Liam O'Brien. So like Castillo was voiced by Liam O'Brien, Tilden, Liam O'Brien. I believe Stepanek was done by Liam O'Brien. Passan done. This is just horrible, right? So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 new actors each, rather than one actor acting out everybody. Here, Jerry the Punk was revoiced. Here in Vault 19, Samuel Cook and Motor Runner. And here in West Side, so some changes were done here. So the problem is that Dermot is also voiced by Marco, so we got new actors here. Jimmy, people said the acting was horrible for that, so we got a new actor for that. Keller, in general, Yuri Lowenthal isn't really good at doing like very intimidating characters. This is why he's not really good at doing the Legion either, so we revoiced him. Miguel has more depth to his lines. He has much more about his story and what's going on there. St. James has been revoiced, as well as Tom Anderson. Here in the miscellaneous locations, so Alexis will be released post-release, but there will be much more a much more heavier set of quests that are actually kind of you could almost look at it as I would say cut dialogue that's coming back. You know what I mean? But the thing is, Alexis in the original game, he didn't even exist. He's there, but he doesn't say a single word, and you get the impression that a lot was supposed to be done with him. So he's much more fleshed out. Alice Hostetler is revoiced, Cannibal Johnson's revoiced, Cook, all these people have been revoiced. The ones we didn't revoice, again, as I mentioned, they fit in one of 5 categories. Either number 1, they're insignificant, like don't care about them. Number 2, they don't have eye traffic. In other words, nobody really sees them. Number 3, their acting was good enough. Or number 4, they were iconic, right? So in general, let's go through them really quickly. Blind Luke, he's dead. Carlisle St. Clair, he's kind of a humorous character, so I left him alone. Dr. Rodson, I think he's dead. He doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Usanagi is anything done by Laura Bailey, I left it alone. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what, like, Leggett Linnaeus, we're not going to touch him. Keeley, I feel like, was perfectly fine. It doesn't take much to do voice acting as a ghoul. It's really, really simple. Orion, he's like a unique voice, so we kind of left that alone. So that's kind of going on with this. So what I do want to say is this, just a few things. Number 1, I already did take into account in a lot of the feedback that were given in the 2 videos prior, so we are definitely looking into considering Mean Son of a Bitch. We're considering that. Santiago currently is in casting right now, and also we are looking, a lot of kind of what's been going on is in consideration. I do want to mention one thing. There were quite a few requests for cut dialogue, bringing it back. Unfortunately, at this case, we don't have the time to do that. I'd rather focus on existing characters in New Vegas right now. So I know there's a lot of cut dialogue. We're not in a position to be able to do that. Let's focus on just what's existing in New Vegas, and let's fix that. And as I mentioned, our project is very different from a lot of other projects that are kind of doing something similar to this, in that we're not trying to focus on everybody in this game. We're only focusing on what needs to be fixed and what is horrible in terms of acting, casting, cloning, or just in general, something that must be fixed. Okay, so again, if you guys have any feedback on any of these that you feel shouldn't be revoiced or need to be revoiced, let me know. For the most part, I definitely will consider it. Just basically give me some good details, and just as long as you ask in a civil manner, I will always listen to what you're saying. As long as you're civil with what you're asking, just basically, hey, you know what, this guy right here, you might want to consider revoicing him. He's just and yeah, so we're good to go. These are all the NPCs that weren't revoiced, as well as some of the ones that were revoiced, and yeah, talk to you then. Okay, bye.